Hello, everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. So, as I'd said last time around, we are going to keep rolling and moving right on along here with fixing D20 Modern. And for today's advanced class, this is one that's not quite so badly broken as the Techie and is definitely a bit more effective at its chosen role than what the Archaic Weapon Master was, but it's still not very good. It still has some things that are just. It feels more like it's written to be an NPC's advanced class rather than something that was done up in mind for the player characters. Granted, if a player character takes this, they still get some interesting benefits, especially if you're going with things that are completely unadjusted in the rules. But, it's all kind of congeals and comes together to something that still doesn't work out so good and only really lends itself to abusing one particular aspect. And today's class is the Arcane Ranger. It's a class that's the idea is it's a character. This is the person who knows who does what. They're in the loop with so many different contacts and resources. Something comes up, they know exactly who to call. And if they don't know who to call, they know who to call to find out who they need to get in touch with. And so they can gather information fast. They can round up or scrounge up somebody with the particular skills that they need to get whatever job it is at hand done. So, to that end, let's just go ahead and get into this and take a look at what makes the Arcane Ranger work and also how it really doesn't do things quite as well as it could. So, to start with, the requirements for getting into this class, you need to have diplomacy up to 6 ranks, gather information also at 6 ranks, and any knowledge skill up to that 6 rank cap. They get 1d6 hit points per level, the usual 6 plus 1 half character levels rounded down for action points. Skill points, they get 7 plus their intelligence modifier, so pretty solid amount right there. And for class skills, they get bluff, computer use, decipher script, diplomacy, forgery, gather information, intimidate, no, a lot of knowledge skills. They get arcane lore, business, current events, pop culture, streetwise. They also get the listen skill, profession, read, write languages, repair, research, sense motive, and speak language. And the speak language and read write language are actually fairly important skills for this class, just because, well, you're a people person. You talk to people, you deal with different people. You may be dealing with some obscure, obtuse, and very rare languages. It's not everybody out there that knows how to read High Elven, Drow, or any number of other languages that they could come across. Now, those two examples right there might be slightly more common in terms of all the fantasy things that are happening in an urban arcana styled setting. Urban arcana, sorry. But it's still, it's definitely a good skill set to invest in a little bit. For their attack bonus, they get a pretty slow progression, starting off at 0 and capping out at a total of plus 5 by the time they hit level 10. Fortitude saves and reflex saves are also both kind of terrible, starting off at 0s and stopping at 3. Will saves go from 1 up through 5, so not bad. Pretty good for will saves. Defense bonus is also incredibly low on this class, and reputation bonus is actually really solid here, but that kind of fits overall with the motif for these different charisma based classes. This is a high profile person. Not only is this person looped in and in the know on everything and knows everyone, knows which hands to shake, a lot of other people also know to shake this person's hand as well and be on good terms with them, usually. But again, any advanced class is made or broken upon its class abilities. And starting off for first level for the Arcane Ranger, they get word on the street. The Arcane Ranger is tapped into veins of info, overheard gossip, face to face meets, message boards. All of this gives the Arcane Ranger a lay of the information landscape. They make instant gather information checks on general and specific information. Restricted information will take them an hour. Protected information, however, will still take 1d4 plus 1 hours based off of the rules for running the skill for gather information. The purchase DC, however, for this information is lowered by 10, so it's not going to cost them quite so much. And of course, if you recall the way the wealth system works, if you don't even have to roll to make a check, then the cost that's incurred by purchasing this information is still low enough that it's not going to cause any impact and reduce their wealth bonus by any degree. It's not even going to drop at a single point. Then bear that in mind there for later when we get to other class abilities. But for second level, the Arcane Ranger gets False Allegiance, and this is actually kind of a neat ability. I like this one. They emulate any allegiance that they know about. They gain a +2 bonus on charisma-based skills when dealing with an individual of the same allegiance. The allegiance and its bonus is considered to be in effect until a check is failed, at which point the false allegiance is revealed. Supernatural and spell-like abilities that reveal allegiances are not affected by the false allegiance abilities, so it's limited, but it makes sense that somebody who's fairly glib, quick with their words, quick-witted, they move on their feet really well, they think on their feet really well, rather, it makes sense that they would be able to talk their way into a lot of different groups, or imitating the mindset, the speech patterns, particular to a specific allegiance, and be able to get their way into some areas that otherwise might be closed off to them. They can talk their way into a lot of different situations and generally talk their way out. This is definitely a character that will talk their way into trouble more often than not. And then coming around for their 3rd, 6th, and 9th level abilities, they get bonus feats, and they pick from the following list: Arcane Skills, Armor Proficiency Light, Attentive, Builder, Combat Expertise, Educated, Gearhead, Improved Disarm, Jack of all trades, Renowned, Studious, Trustworthy, and Windfall. Windfall just ties back into the abuse of the wealth bonus system. It gives you a bonus, a one-time bonus to your wealth bonus score overall each time you select it, and you can select it multiple times. So if you use this to pick it 3 times, you're just going to start stacking your wealth bonus ridiculously. So again, bear in mind that that taps into the whole purchase DCs for information and the like. So yeah, that can be proved to be troublesome really fast in terms of trying to impact a character's wealth with the rules as written. But for their 4th ability, they get Shadow Resources. The Arcane Ranger is wired into the local system and is able to get the names and numbers of individuals with particular abilities and talents. Even if away from their home ground, a phone call can put them in touch with the needed resource. They make a level check, adding all Charismatic and Arcane Ranger class levels. The difficulty is based on how common the required abilities are. Common is DC 10 and it covers skills like Ride, Pilot, Treat Injury. Uncommon is DC 15 and covers subgroups of other skills like Knowledge, Arcane Lore, those kind of specific skills. Rare skills are a DC 20 check and cover skills like Spellcraft and Psycraft, which are things that are going to be particular for more trained characters, like any psionic using characters or wizards, clerics, things of that nature. Or if there's a specific feat or class feature or spell combo, the DC is 25, like Knowledge Business and the Augury spell. That specific combination of skill and spell is not a very common thing to have come together there, and getting a character, an NPC that has that skill set, is definitely a bit tricky. And I don't mind the difficulties here. I don't mind that it's a level check that counts in the Charismatic and Arcane Ranger class levels. That makes sense to me, but this particular skill set seems like it's missing something to me. But that'll be something we fix next time around. At 5th level, they get the Pack Rat ability. The Arcane Ranger is considered to have considerable material resources either at hand or easily and cheaply purchased. When making the wealth check to determine if a particular item is at hand, add the Arcane Ranger's class levels as a circumstance bonus. So when they're making a wealth check, they add their class level, and here at 5th level, that's a +5 bonus on top of potentially having taken the windfall feat, and on top of whatever wealth bonus they already may have in play. And bear in mind, if they're selling things, they can also get a one-time wealth bonus when they're selling items of any significant value that can add into their wealth bonus overall. And then at 7th level, they pick up Expert in your field. The Arcane Ranger is a master of connections, such that his reputation precedes him in his dealings. They gain a circumstance bonus equal to the reputation bonus when making gather information, diplomacy skill checks, and wealth checks for new purchases. So on top of that, now you're adding in your reputation bonus overall. So +7 bonus there. Your reputation bonus is sitting around what, 3 or 4 at this point. So that's so 7 plus your reputation bonus, so about 10, 11, 12 by the time you hit, by the time you hit 10th level, that's a +10, +5, so +15 bonus from being a level 10 Arcane Ranger on your wealth bonus checks. On top of if you take the wealth bonus, the windfall feat to get that wealth bonus, which is a +3, +4, if I'm remembering right off the top of my head, right about there. So potentially a +19 on top of whatever wealth bonus you've already rolled out. And depending on the starting occupation you have, that's at least another, well, some give you a +0, but you could have a +1, +2, +3. I believe there's one that gives you a +4, so you already jumping up into the 20s on top of the fact that you are probably earning more of a wealth bonus as you level up. Again, this is just with the base rules as written. This class is an excellent way for abusing the ever-loving daylights out of that particular rule using the wealth bonus system. So this class is busted in that regard to the player's advantage. But that and gathering information is all it really does with it. Well, it can buy things incredibly well and gather information. The cost is going to be so incredibly negligible, but there's not many other areas where this class is good. It's good on its some of its abilities to negotiate, talk their way into things, but not incredibly well. They're focused mostly on purchasing information and then just accruing stupid amounts of purchasing power. Those are the only two things, and the whole purchasing power thing, while it is useful and powerful, it is also very circumstantial based on what the DM is allowing you to get away with. So, that can be up in the air for how effective it is. But then again, being able to buy everybody cars or planes and not having it do a damn thing to your ability to buy other stuff is still useful and advantageous. But lastly here, the Arcane Ranger gets up my sleeve that picks up at 8th level and then improves at 10th level. As a move action, the Arcane Ranger can hide and retrieve one small item from an extra dimensional space. The item is undetectable save for a moderate aura that detect magic spells will reveal around their hand. And then at 10th level, the Arcane Ranger can hide a single large size object or up to 3 small size objects, each of which may be retrieved individually. It's an interesting ability, but it doesn't really mesh with anything else here. It's the idea of this is a person who knows everyone, who can get their hands on anything, and may actually even just seemingly have something right up their sleeve that works for this moment. Now, you can hide, a firearm, a handgun, or a small machine pistol kind of a thing, or a grenade, or a couple other items, a lockpick, cell phone, PDA, plenty of character classes. I like the idea of wizards using a PDA even a smartphone to have their spell list on. I like that as an idea. That's an interesting function. It's just really cool to me, and that's something the Arcane Ranger can hide for their spellcasting companions. But other than that, I mean, the fact that you can retrieve it at will is nice. I mean, uh, it's definitely got some uses, but it doesn't mesh with anything else. It just feels like it was kind of tacked onto here to give them something kind of cool to do, but in the end, because it doesn't mesh or work with anything else, like the rest of the purchasing power abilities and gathering information, it just kind of doesn't do a whole lot for you, other than by the time you hit 10th level, you can hide multiple objects up your sleeve in this extra dimensional space. So, hide some lockpicks, maybe a little um, high explosive or something, but you get the idea. So, this is where the class is a little bit broken. It's got some overwhelmingly good abilities in regards to purchasing power using the wealth bonus system if you've done nothing to adjust it. Gathering information, the fact that it's reducing costs on that and reduces the time it takes. In theory, that's nice and it sounds nice. Definitely reducing the cost part, that makes sense. But as far as the time goes, I mean, I don't know of many situations where if the DM says you have 8 hours to find this stuff, rules say you have to take up to 10 hours to find the information that you need in order to locate the thing. I don't know many DMs who would say, "Well, you're screwed, you lose, done, over with. You're in the worst case scenario now." Most, I think, are kind of willing to adjust or kind of fudge the rules a little bit in that regard, especially if the players are making good checks or if they're throwing extra money at the situation to try to gain bonuses or speed up or reduce the time that their research takes. So the applicability of that, the value of that, is questionable. It's a neat idea, but it's questionable. And then finding different people with different skill sets. I like that ability. I think it's good, but it definitely seems to be missing just a little something there. I mean, especially since when you consider that if especially particularly if you're going to be playing like start off playing 5th level characters, well, maybe the group's fighter type, maybe they don't have the most extensive background in people skills, but they're still going to know people from their former professional life if they had one. And even if they didn't have a professional life, they're still just going to have known people from their career as an adventurer in whatever capacity that might be. So they're going to know one or two people that might be willing to help them out that have a particular skill sets that that specific character does not, and maybe the group does not. So that's something where RP kind of comes in, role playing and coming up with character story and background. So this feels more like a niche way of like, oh, well, we need this specific and esoteric skill set. Let's go find that. Whereas that also could be part of an adventure, not necessarily just a class ability. I mean, shoot, I can think of about a half dozen adventures where we were looking for somebody with a specific skill set with the who could either had or could come up with the specific information that we needed to get whatever quest or mission we were on done, resolved to some kind of a successful conclusion. So, yeah, Arcane Ranger is an interesting idea. I think it's a good class idea, and it's got some interesting abilities that help it with some of its diplomacy abilities, like False Allegiance. False Allegiance is actually kind of a cool ability. I just wish it improved to where maybe they had could make a skill check to try to confound or work their way around different detect allegiance abilities, detect lies spells, any area of effect, things like that, where they could slip around it. Maybe not necessarily completely lying, but just flexing the truth a little bit in such a way that it doesn't automatically trigger the spell's effects. And of course, if they fail, well, then they slip up, they flub their line, and then, yeah, the spell goes off then. Not a guaranteed way of getting around, but a shot just to kind of help with that and make that ability that much more useful. But that'll be something we have to cover next time around. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, go on down there, hit that like button, let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Or if you disagree with me and you think the Arcane Ranger is an awesome class, which, if you're focusing on its wealth bonus abilities, then yeah, it does a lot with that. But still, let me know down below. I'm more than happy to talk it over with you and go a little bit back and forth, exchange of ideas and all that. Or if you did enjoy today's video as well, there's going to be a couple more cropping up over this way that possibly you'll enjoy. Certainly the YouTube algorithm thinks so, and I also think you will as well. Or if this has not been your first stop, not the first video you've been watching here with me, well, then why not go down there and hit that subscribe button? Certainly something seems to be working out all right for you. But with that said, I've been your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. Thank you all so much for your time, and you all have yourselves a good night.